Dear students, welcome to the online classes program of Higher Education Department, Punjab. It is Department of English Language and Literature of Government Postgraduate College, Attic. Here, I am Sharif Zahid, Assistant Professor of English. Well, dear students, we had an introduction of Bertrand Russell in the last lecture. And today we are going to switch over to the text given in the book Unpopular Essays by Bertrand Russell. If you look at the contents of this book, there are 12 articles given in the contents which are included in the syllabus. For our convenience and creating the interest among the students, we shall start from 8th article, that is the functions of a teacher. So let us start our text from the functions of a teacher. In the first paragraph, Bertrand Russell has given the introduction or his own viewpoint about teaching in general. Let us see what does he convey to us. Russell says teaching, more even than most other professions, teaching has been transformed during the last 100 years from a small, highly skilled profession concerned with a minority of the population to a large and important branch of the public service. Here he wants to highlight that nowadays teaching has been changed, has been transformed, and since how much time? For the last 100 years. Prior to that, it was a very small but highly skilled profession, and to those this profession dealt with, the total number of the students was not more, and they were in minority. But nowadays, for the last 100 years, and as compared to the rest of the professions, this profession has been changed from a small to a large and important branch of the public service. Fortunately or unfortunately, it has been turned into a service now. It was a highly respectable profession, as Russell puts forward in the next lines. He says the profession had a great and honorable tradition. In the past, this profession enjoyed respect. Since how long? Extending from the dawn of history until recent times. Since human beings started their life on this planet, since that time till now, this profession had enjoyed respect. But any teacher in the modern world who allows himself to be inspired by the ideals of his predecessors. But when we go forward and when we have a comparative study which will be made in the next paragraph, now he takes just an example that if today's teacher wishes to walk on the footprints of his predecessors, then what should he keep in his mind is likely to be made sharply aware. He should be very much aware that what the fact is. The fact remains that it is not his function to teach what he thinks. Whatsoever the modern teacher desires, he is not allowed to teach all that, but to instill such beliefs and prejudices as are thought useful by his employers, those who have employed him. Whatsoever goes in the benefit of his employers, he has to inculcate among the students such like beliefs. In former days, a teacher was expected to be a man of exceptional knowledge or wisdom. In the past, Russell says that those who used to be teacher, they enjoyed very much knowledge. They were considered to be men of reason and wisdom. And because of these blessings of Almighty Allah, to whose words men would do well to attend, people used to pay attention to whatsoever they utter. So, this is Russell's brief concept of the teaching in general. But now he is comparing the teacher of the past with that of the present. So, he says in antiquity, teachers were not an organized profession. So, in the past, this profession was not in the form of an organization. So, because of that, no control was exercised over what they taught. As they were not the member of any organization, so whatsoever they wished, they used to inculcate to their students. It is true that they were often punished afterwards for their subversive doctrines. For example, they are inculcating certain things which are not liked by the parents, or they are considered to be of the slavish habits. Quoting the example of Socrates and Plato, he says that Socrates was put to death and Plato is said to have been thrown into prison. But why did he quote this example? He says that both of these great teachers taught first and afterward they were punished. Socrates was put to death and Plato is said to have been thrown into prison, but such incidents did not interfere with the spread of their doctrines. So, whatsoever they wished to inculcate, so they have already inculcated, and because of that, they were punished. Any man who has the genuine impulse of the teacher will be more anxious to survive in his books than in the flesh. Bertrand Russell wants to say that if you want to be called, to be remembered by the posterity, so you should not expect that during your lifetime, during your walk and talk, you are paid respect. Of course, that is your right and you are to be respected. But the more respect you enjoy after you are no more in the world and you are remembered in good words, that is the gist of this being a good teacher. A feeling of intellectual independence is essential to the proper fulfillment of the teacher's functions. So, how can a teacher perform his function satisfactorily? Bertrand Russell says that if he feels himself that he is not under the bondage and pressure of anyone else. So, a feeling of intellectual independence. Since it is his business, it is his duty of the teacher is to instill, to inculcate, to transform his knowledge, what he can of knowledge and reasonableness. So, he has to convey two things. First is knowledge and the other is wisdom, rational approach into the process of forming public opinion, so that his students, his taught one, are able to form any public opinion independently, not they are dictated. So they are able to think themselves. In antiquity, he performed this function unhampered. So in the past, nobody interfered his profession except by occasional spasmodic and ineffective interventions of tyrants or mobs. They were interfered abruptly now and then, but they were not dictated. Now, Bertrand Russell quotes certain examples from Renaissance age and Middle Ages. In the Middle Ages, teaching became the exclusive prerogative of the church. So it was the privilege or right of the church during Middle Ages. And what was the outcome of that entitlement? With the result that there was little progress, either intellectual or social. So, humankind did not make any progress with reference to intellectual or social sector. After Middle Ages came 16th century in literature, which is called Renaissance age. With the Renaissance, the general respect for learning brought back a very considerable measure of freedom to the teacher. When Renaissance age came, which is famous for seeking knowledge, so those who used to transfer this knowledge, they were respected, of course, during Renaissance age. It is true that Inquisition compelled Galileo to reckon. Galileo Galilei was forced to go back from the formula he gave, which, on the pressure of the church authorities, he had to. And Giordano Bruno, who was an Italian philosopher, and he was a cosmological theorist, and his work was burned at the stake. But each of these men had done his work before being punished. They have completed, like that of Plato and Socrates. These two scientists also published their theory. They were of the opinion about cosmology, about space theory, and which was accepted by so many people. Institutions, but during Renaissance period, institutions such as universities largely remained in the grip of the dogmatist, those who have myopic approach, narrow-mindedness, and they consider that their ideas ought to be followed by rest of all of the people, with the result that most of the best intellectual work was done by independent men of learning. So those who did not follow them, they are called independent men of learning. In England, especially until near the end of 19th century, hardly any men of first-rate eminence except Newton were connected with the universities. It means there were so many scientists, they were busy in their research work, but none of them was connected with the universities except Isaac Newton. But the social system was such, but even then society did not interfere, that this interfered little with their activities or their usefulness. Social system did not interfere in the spread of their ideas, theories, or whatsoever they wish to inculcate to the coming generations. So this was all about teaching. Then how do the teacher of the past used to teach, and then what change came during Renaissance period. We'll try to learn more in the next lecture. Thank you for your happy watching and patient listening. Stay blessed.